Oh my gosh, it's the emerald creaking. He just gave me full netherite armor. I'm so lucky, guys.
These are the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns of all time. This first speedrun begins with the runner immediately locating a nearby shipwreck. And while the shipwreck itself is not suspicious at all, the runner actually just cheated. However, it doesn't have anything to do with the runner's inventory, as he is selecting the very first slot. And it also isn't the runner's spawn, as he is facing completely straight. But it actually has to do with this speedrunner's world generation. Because if you look closely at the runner's home screen, you can clearly see that he's playing in Minecraft 1.12. The problem is, shipwrecks were not released into Minecraft until the aquatic update in version 1.13. This actually means the footage of him generating his world and the footage of his spawn are clips from two completely different versions, and the runner has just cheated by cutting his video. And this could mean the runner is actually using a set seed, so keep it in mind for later. So, after locating a nearby shipwreck, the speedrun begins with the runner collecting wood from a nearby tree, mining some cobblestone to create a couple of tools, and making his way to the nearby shipwreck. But as the speedrunner is swimming towards it, did you catch that? At this frame, you can actually see the runner mysteriously loses 3 bars of hunger. The only explanation for this is that there was yet another cut in the recording, which will make more sense in a few seconds. So, the runner enters the shipwreck, and surprisingly, all 3 chests contain loot that is 100% normal. So why would the speedrunner cut his footage just a few seconds ago? Well, that's because the runner then finds a 4th chest, and this is clearly impossible, as shipwrecks can only spawn with a maximum of 3 chests. So, the runner clearly cut his footage so he could go off camera, place an extra chest in this shipwreck, and try to pretend that nothing happened. So, the runner goes to open the 4th chest, and it actually looks fairly normal, as the runner finds some iron ingots, carrots, and wood planks, all standard items. But the runner also finds this single block of obsidian, and while it may look fairly innocent on the surface, it's actually impossible for obsidian to spawn in a shipwreck chest. So it's pretty obvious he placed this in the chest off camera. So, after collecting all the loot from the shipwreck, the runner then begins his search for a ruined portal. And to my surprise, he actually locates it extremely quickly, which to be honest, is very suspicious. Well, do you remember at the very beginning of the speedrun when the runner faked his world generation and potentially used a set seed? Well, let's take a listen to his audio.
And next to the village, there's a ruined portal.
If you couldn't tell, the runner is clearly watching some sort of video of a Minecraft seed that has a ruins portal, which explains how he was able to locate it so fast and confirms he's using a set seed. So the runner locates the ruined portal, and here's where things get even more fake. Because even with the extra block of obsidian he found in the fake shipwreck chest, the runner ends up being just 2 blocks short of completing the portal. Well, after looting the chest and collecting some extra wood for later in the run, when the speedrunner opens up his inventory, he magically has the exact 2 pieces of obsidian that he needs. But let's rewind the footage and see what actually happened. Because if you pause the footage at this singular frame, you can actually spot a very well hidden pressure plate on this stone block. And if you play the footage, you can actually see the runner steps on it at this moment. But even with the pressure plate, how does that explain the runner collecting 2 pieces of obsidian? Well, if you go back just a little further and pause the footage at this frame, you can clearly see a dropper floating high in the sky where we can't notice it. But not only that, because you can also literally see redstone somehow magically floating in the air, providing power straight to this dropper. So if you couldn't tell, this pressure plate clearly activates the dropper, and when the runner activated it, 2 pieces of obsidian were dropped into his inventory. But my question is, how the heck did the runner manage to make the redstone float? So, after collecting 2 more pieces of obsidian from the floating dropper, the runner quickly completes the portal and spawns into the nether. Now, you probably didn't even notice it, but the speedrunner has actually just cheated once again. No, it's not the runner's inventory, as we can clearly see he has all normal items. And it isn't his game mode either, as the runner is still in survival. But if you look into the top right corner of the screen, screen, the runner has somehow acquired a fire resistance potion, even though we clearly saw he didn't have a single one anywhere in his inventory. Well, as soon as the runner spawns in, take a good look into the bottom left corner of the screen, where you can see the faintest message of a command to give the player a potion effect. And not only does this prove the runner cut his footage while he was spawning into the nether, but this command actually proves the runner has cheats enabled, something that is clearly banned from a Minecraft speedrun. So, with a fire resistance effect applied, when the runner finally locates a fortress and starts to fight the blazes, it's very easy for him to fight them without taking damage. But let's slow down a bit, because believe it or not, the way the runner located this fortress was yet another example of cheating. Because if you play the footage, it appears as though the runner is traveling in a very specific direction, which seems slightly suspicious. Well, if you pause the footage at this exact frame, you gotta be kidding me. You can clearly see the most obvious shape of an arrow in the ground, pointing the speedrunner in the exact direction of the fortress. And the funniest part is that soul sand can't even spawn naturally at this height, meaning the runner literally just built this off camera. So, after locating the fortress with the world's most obvious arrow, the runner starts fighting the blazes and collects a couple of rods. And for the first time all speedrun, I can finally say things are actually normal, because the runner collects 7 blaze rods without a single bit of suspicious activity. But when the runner goes to check his inventory, what in the world? The runner literally has the most insane amount of blaze rods that I've seen in a Minecraft speedrun. And what's even funnier is the runner literally has so many rods that he starts getting rid of some of them to make space in his inventory. And I have absolutely zero idea how the runner pulled this off. So, the runner grabs some extra loot from a chest and starts to search for a nearby bastion. Now, you're probably expecting the runner to use some sort of arrow to point to the bastion just like he did a few minutes ago. But that actually couldn't be farther from the truth. Because instead of finding an arrow, the runner finds the Bastion Tunnel? Is this a new update that I forgot about? Well, the runner opens the door to the Bastion Tunnel, where he starts following a very long path heading straight towards the Bastion. But someone must have pranked the speedrunner, because instead of the tunnel leading directly to a bastion, it actually leads straight into a lava pool. And the runner literally dies in the speedrun. I guess that's what he deserves for cheating so terribly. Well, after the runner dies, he must be too tired to locate his nether portal again, so there is literally the world's most obvious cut and the runner is now back in the nether with every single one of his items back in his inventory. That wasn't suspicious at all. So, after getting pranked and literally dying during the speedrun, the runner finally does something legitimate by locating a bastion using the number of entities on the F3 menu. And after locating the bastion, the runner continues to do things normally by collecting some gold blocks, turning them into ingots, where he begins to search for some piglins. But unfortunately for the speedrunner, he doesn't seem to find a single piglin anywhere in the bastion. And this is incredibly weird considering piglins will always spawn in a bastion. Well, after realizing there isn't a single piglin anywhere in the bastion, the runner does something absolutely insane, because he starts explaining in chat that there's a new Minecraft update where you can actually spawn piglins if you rename a wooden axe to piglin spawner? Okay, who is this guy fooling? This clearly won't work. Well, the runner must think this is actually real, because he actually places down an anvil and renames a wooden axe to piglin spawner. Alright, come on, this is clearly not a real Minecraft feature. Oh my gosh! Let me replay that in slow motion. The runner actually summoned a piglin out of thin air using a piglin spawner. This isn't actually a real feature, right? Well, after somehow summoning a piglin with a renamed wooden axe, the runner grabs some gold from his inventory and starts to make trades with it. And I guess I'll give the runner some credit, as every single trade that he gets is completely normal. And he collects 12 ender pearls and 10 pieces of obsidian very normally. But the speedrunner makes a huge mistake when building his nether portal to head back towards the overworlds, because he accidentally misplaces one of the blocks while building the portal. And because the runner doesn't have a diamond pickaxe, there is no way for him to mine this piece of obsidian and place it in the correct spot. Well, this is when the runner has the genius idea of quote-unquote fixing the portal with an acacia log. Okay, I've seen some crazy things in speedruns before, but I've never seen someone fix a portal with a block of wood. Well, Well, the runner still decides to place this block in the portal, and when he goes to light it, oh my gosh! Every single frame in the portal actually lights except for the one touching the log. And I gotta be honest, I have zero idea how the runner managed to pull this off. So, after somehow lighting the portal, the runner spawns back into the overworld, where he quickly crafts his Eyes of Ender. And using the process of triangulation, the runner begins to locate the position of the strongholds. But if you watch the footage carefully, you'll actually notice the runner starts running in the exact opposite direction, which is incredibly weird, considering the Eye of Ender will always point towards the direction of the strongholds. Well, following the other direction, the runner quickly locates a nearby village. But there's something incredibly strange about this village, because in the direct center of it, the runner finds this very strange looking structure that clearly doesn't spawn naturally. And when the runner goes up the stairs to see what it is, he finds a huge tunnel that leads directly to the strongholds. I can't take this anymore. So, the runner falls down into the stronghold, where, giving him credit, he locates the end portal room fairly normally, and the runner quickly lights the portal and spawns into the end. And honestly, when he spawns in, everything looks to be pretty normal. As the runner is in survival mode, he has completely normal items in his inventory, and the dragon still has full health. But even though it clearly shows that the Ender Dragon is still alive and well, when the runner goes to the surface, there literally is not a single Ender Dragon to be found. And after noticing this, the runner then decides to do one of the craziest things I've literally ever seen, because he makes his way towards the center of the end, where he randomly decides to pull out flint and steel, where he somehow lights the exit portal and completes the speedrun. If someone could explain how the runner did that, that would be very helpful. This next speedrun begins with the runner spawning right next to a village. And while that could be seen as suspicious, it's actually pretty common to find a village when spawning in a plains biome. And to add on, the runner is facing perfectly straight, and he doesn't have any weird items in his inventory. However, there's one extremely tiny detail about this runner's spawn that actually proves it's fake. Because if you go back to this speedrunner's loading screen before he generated the world, tell me if you notice what setting proves this spawn was fake. Well, if you look closely at the generate structures option, you can actually see the runner accidentally switched it to off. And because the runner spawned directly next to a village, we know he cheated. And the footage of him generating his world and his spawn are actually two different clips edited together. And the runner clearly did this so he could start off right next to a village. Either way, the run begins, and things honestly feel pretty normal to me, as the runner makes his way to a nearby tree to gather some wood, makes himself a couple of tools, and heads into the nearby village. But as the runner makes his way into the village, move your focus towards the chat, where it appears as though the runner actually gets an achievement on his way in. And while that may look completely normal, this achievement actually proves the runner has cheated once again, because as you can clearly see, this achievement is called the Ice Bucket Challenge, which is actually the achievement for collecting a piece of obsidian in Minecraft. The problem is, we can clearly see the runner doesn't have a single piece of obsidian anywhere in their inventory, which actually means this achievement was obtained by a completely different player, and the runner is actually playing on a multiplayer server, something that's clearly not allowed on a solo speedrun, and remember it for later. So, the runner enters the village, where he starts off by gathering some hay to make bread and collecting a couple of beds. But, as the runner is looking at trades from some of the villagers, take a closer look into the right corner of this screen, where we can actually see what appears to be an iron golem being built out of thin air. And, if you zoom in even further, you'll actually notice these white particles floating in the air, clearly coming from the use of an invisibility potion being used. So if you couldn't tell, these particles are coming from the same person we saw get the achievement just a few seconds ago, and he's likely building a second iron golem to help out the speedrunner. And our suspicion is actually confirmed because when the runner attacks this very golem, he doesn't fight back at all, which is something that's only possible from a golem that was spawned spawned in with blocks. So, after looting a few more chests from the village, the runner begins his search for a ruins portal. But, on his way, the runner accidentally opens his F3 menu for half a second, which accidentally reveals he's cheating once again. Because if you look into the top left corner, we can literally see the runner is using the fabric loader, a loader for Minecraft mods. This guy is terrible at cheating. So, the runner continues his search for a ruins portal, and suddenly, it appears as though he knows the exact direction one is located in. And giving him credit, he must have had a good feeling, because he actually locates one just a couple of seconds later. But, to almost nobody's surprise, the speedrunner actually cheated once again, and this part of the speedrun is completely fake. Because if you pause the footage at this frame, take a very close look at this piece of grass. Well, this type of grass is actually called seagrass. The problem is, this type of grass can only spawn underwater. And if you play the footage, the runner clearly digs down directly next to this grass, directly into the ruins portal room. So I think it's pretty obvious this piece of seagrass was placed by the runner's friend to remind him exactly where to dig down to locate a ruins portal. But what's even crazier is after testing in my own Minecraft world, it isn't even possible to place seagrass anywhere but inside water. So not only did the runner cheat by marking out the location of a ruins portal, I have literally no clue how he managed to place seagrass on a piece of dirt. So, the runner digs down, locates the ruined portal, and goes to loot the ruined portal chest. Now I know what you're thinking. This chest has to contain some fake items due to this speedrunner's cheating history. However, to my surprise, literally every single item in this chest is 100% normal, as the runner collects some items such as gold ingots, obsidian, and flint, all standard items. However, the items in this ruined portal chest almost seem too perfect, as if the runner is using it as a distraction to cheat in some other way. Well, my suspicion is actually confirmed, because as the runner appears to be moving items from the chest to his inventory, let's take a closer look at the portal, where we can clearly see obsidian blocks being added out of thin air. And this is clearly being built by the speedrunner's friend, the same one who built a golem for the runner just a bit earlier. And the cherry on top is after his friend placed a couple of extra blocks on the portal, the runner now of course has the exact amount of obsidian he needs to complete it. So, the runner completes the portal, lights it, and spawns into the nether. Now, you're probably expecting the runner to search for a bastion or maybe even a fortress, but the runner instead comes across the nether temple? Oh my gosh, this can't be a new update, is it? Well, the runner enters inside the nether temple, and it looks absolutely insane. And of course, just like in a normal desert pyramid, when the runner breaks this block, he falls down into a room full of chests. But something must be glitched with this insane looking nether pyramid, because instead of finding some overpowered items in the chests, he instead finds a dirt block? What's going on? Well, not only does the first chest have a dirt block, but so does every single chest in the nether pyramid. And this must have really upset the speedrunner, because he starts to absolutely rage.
No, bro.
Well, after getting 4 dirt blocks from the nether temple, the runner quickly makes his way out of it before starting to search for a nether fortress. But as the speedrunner is running throughout the nether, take a very close look at his inventory, where it appears as though he has magically acquired a fire resistance potion in his very last slot. And this is incredibly suspicious, considering we clearly saw he didn't find a single potion all speedrun. Well, let's play this part of the footage in slow motion, and I want you to tell me if you notice what's fake about it. Did you catch that? As the runner is casually running throughout the nether, take a very detailed look at this block, where if you look carefully, you'll actually notice there's a pressure plate on top of it. And first off, I don't even know how that's possible, because there literally isn't even a netherrack pressure plate block in vanilla Minecraft. But secondly, as soon as we see the runner step on the pressure plate, you can actually hear the sound of a dropper go off, and a potion of fire resistance magically appears in the runner's inventory. And it's pretty obvious the runner's friend who has been helping him cheat all speedrun built some sort of dropper contraption to give the runner fire resistance. So, with a fire resistance potion in his inventory, the runner eventually locates a fortress where he quickly drinks it and starts to fight some of the blazes. And thank gosh, because for the first time in the entire speedrun, something perfectly normal happens. As the runner gets the standard 1 rod per blaze that he kills, and he collects 8 rods pretty quickly. But things only get worse when the runner makes his way to a nearby bastion, because right away, when the runner opens the very first chest, he finds an iron pickaxe, which is an item that doesn't actually spawn naturally in any bastion chests. And secondly, when the runner is casually mining this gold block, if you look into the left corner of the screen, you can quite literally see the runner's friend placing gold blocks for the runner to break. And he must have given up trying to hide his cheating because he isn't even using a potion of invisibility. Well, with a bunch of extra gold blocks for the runner to mine, he quickly crafts some gold ingots and starts to trade with a group of piglins. But hold on, these piglins start giving the runner some items that are quite literally impossible. A netherite sword, diamond armor, even eyes of ender? How are the piglins giving the runner these items? Well, if we move ahead to just a minute later when the runner accidentally tabs out of Minecraft, you can literally see that the speedrunner has its mods folder open, and inside is a Minecraft mod that's called Configurable Extra Mob Drops. So if you couldn't tell, the runner is clearly using this mod to get some overpowered items from the piglins. So, with some amazing Minecraft items and enough pearls to continue with the speedrun, the runner quickly starts to build another portal and heads back to the overworld. But this is when the runner randomly decides to add in a face cam into the bottom left corner of the screen, which is incredibly odd considering he hasn't used it a single time all speedrun. Well, besides that, the runner actually locates the position of the stronghold very quickly, where after digging down, he enters it with no problem. But hold on, let's rewind the footage, because you guessed it, the runner cheated once again. Because let's take a closer look at what happens when the runner randomly decides to add in his face cam. If you play the footage frame by frame, you'll actually notice one single frame where we can clearly see the runner use a /locate command for the strongholds. And just one frame later, the runner decided to add in his face cam. So if you couldn't tell, the runner clearly added in this random face cam to try to hide the fact that he used a /locate command. And we could all see that he cheated. So, the runner enters the strongholds, where after looting a few chests, he makes his way to the end portal room. But when he enters it, you gotta be kidding me. The same friend who we have literally seen throughout the run is waiting for him with a full set of netherite armor and an enchanted bow. Are they even trying to hide that they're cheating? So, the runner lights the portal, him and his friend jump in and spawn into the end, where everything actually looks pretty normal. The runner's in survival mode, he has his first slot selected, the dragon is at full health. Hold on, what am I saying? The runner is literally in the end with his friend during a solo speedrun. There isn't anything normal about his spawn. And when the runner goes to the surface, you can clearly see his friend just flying around and breaking all of the crystals. And not only that, but after he breaks all the crystals, the speedrunner's friend places down a chest, and inside is some of the most overpowered items in Minecraft history. And with all of this overpowered loot and 2 people, it's pretty easy for them to kill the dragon. But my question is, which one of them gets credit for beating the speedrun? This next speedrun begins, and honestly, everything looks fairly normal. The runner selecting the very first slot in his hotbar, he doesn't have any strange items in his inventory, and we can clearly see he's in survival mode. However, do you notice what is fake about this runner spawn? Well, if you look closely, you can actually clearly see that the runner is not facing straight, but actually facing slightly to the left. In a real Minecraft speedrun, when you spawn in, you will always be facing perfectly parallel to the surrounding blocks. So because this speedrunner is clearly angled to the left, it's quite likely that the runner faked his world generation and is using a set seed. But either way, I guess the rest of the spawn does look to be fairly normal, as the runner collects some wood, makes himself a couple of tools, and starts searching for a nearby shipwreck. But not only does this speedrunner find one shipwreck, but 2, 3 shipwrecks in one single area. Now, technically speaking, there isn't a rule in Minecraft that stops shipwrecks from spawning this close to each other. However, after I literally asked ChatGPT, the odds of 3 shipwrecks spawning like this is literally over 1 in several billion, which basically confirms this is completely fake, and the runner spawned in these extra shipwrecks off camera to help with the speedrun. So, with 3 shipwrecks for the runner to loot from, he ends up finding 9 different shipwreck chests. And with this many chests, it's hard to notice if there's anything fake about the loot inside of them. However, let's move our focus to the 7th shipwreck chest the runner loots, because inside, while the runner does find a few normal items like paper and carrots, he finds 2 extremely strange items. This block of glowstone and this singular chain. And not only are these 2 items completely fake and can't naturally spawn here, but remember them for later in the speedrun. So, after looting all 3 shipwrecks, the runner quickly makes his way to shore where he starts searching for a nearby village. And giving him credit, he actually locates it without any suspicious activity. But that's the last real thing that happens in the village. Because as soon as the runner enters inside it, he finds what? Why in the world is there a life-size Notch statue in this village? And why does he look so cursed? Well, the runner makes his way up the life-size Notch statue, where he finds this very strange ladder. And of course, the runner decides to climb all the way to the top, where he finds a trap door on the top of Notch's skull, and when he enters into it, he finds one of the most overpowered loot rooms in all of Minecraft. Chests with literally everything he needs to enter the nether, enough food to last the rest of his life, and even an armor stand with a full set of diamond armor. Can someone tell me which update they added the Notch room into Minecraft? Well, after the runner collects all the loot that he needs, he leaves Notch's overpowered loot room where he starts to craft his nether portal. And after lighting it with flint and steel he got from one of the chests, the runner finally makes his way into the nether. But right off the bat, there's something incredibly fake about this spawn that you probably missed. Because just a few seconds after the runner spawns into the nether, let's take a very close look at this portal. In a real Minecraft speedrun, portals generated on their own will always be the full rectangle shape. However, in this speedrun, we can actually see this nether portal doesn't have any of the corners. And this actually confirms that this nether portal was not generated naturally, but was instead built manually by the speedrunner off camera. And not only does this prove that the runner made a cut in his recording, but it's no surprise that he now spawns in right next to a fortress. So, the runner enters the nearby fortress, where after looting one of the chests inside, he begins his search for the blaze spawner room. Unfortunately, the runner simply can't seem to find one, because he instead finds 3, which have literally spawned right next to each other. And not only is it very obvious the runner built this himself off camera, but fortresses can't even spawn with more than 2 spawners in each one. So, after finding this ultra blaze spawner, the runner immediately starts to kill the blazes, where he quickly collects some blaze rods. And if I have to give him credit, everything about these blazes are actually 100% normal, as they all drop the standard 1 blaze rod per blaze. However, it's actually something the speedrunner does, which is completely fake. Because if you look into the top right corner of the screen, you can actually see the runner has magically acquired a fire resistance potion. Even though literally throughout the entire speedrun, we haven't seen him collect a single one. Well, let's replay this part of the footage, and let me know if you saw what happened. Did you catch it? Well, if you pause the footage at this frame, you can actually see both a line of string along with 2 tripwire hooks on the wall of the fortress. And immediately after the runner triggers the trap, you can literally see a fire resistance effect being applied to him in the bottom left corner. And it's pretty obvious the runner set up this tripwire to activate a command block to give him fire resistance while he hoped we didn't notice. So, with a fire resistance effect applied, the runner keeps killing blazes and collects 7 rods pretty quickly. And with 7 blaze rods in his inventory, a normal speedrunner would then start searching for a bastion to trade with piglins and collect ender pearls. But on his way, the runner finds, what? This might be one of the funniest looking structures I've seen in Minecraft. I don't think anyone is believing this. So, the runner enters the quote-unquote nether house and doesn't find much besides this strange-looking chest with a sign on it saying magical buttons inside. And when the runner opens the chest, he does find an unnecessary amount of buttons. But come on, there is no possible way these buttons are magical. Well, while you may be thinking that these buttons are completely useless, the runner is actually about to use them to cheat, because he gathers all the magical buttons that he can from the chest before the runner heads towards this specific wall. And after placing them in a very certain pattern, the runner starts explaining in chat that he must click every single one of them to be teleported directly into a bastion. Alright, come on, there is no way this works. Clicking these buttons will do absolutely nothing. Oh my gosh, the runner is actually teleported directly into the bastion. And if someone could possibly explain how the runner just did that, I'd love to know, because I've never been more confused. So, once in the bastion, the speedrunner actually does some fairly normal things to his credit, including crafting an iron pickaxe, mining some gold blocks, and starting to trade with a few nearby piglins. But as the runner is throwing his gold at the piglins, did you catch that? Even though the runner throws a huge amount of gold on the ground, for some reason only one piglin will pick it up and trade with him. And this is incredibly weird, considering Minecraft piglins will always pick up any gold directly in front of them. So it's incredibly odd that only one of the piglins is deciding to trade with the runner. Well, this doesn't turn out to be a huge problem for the speedrunner, because the one piglin who does want to trade starts giving the runner some incredibly good items, including 16 ender pearls and 13 pieces of obsidian. And while that's definitely suspicious, I'm still more confused about how only one piglin is trading with the runner. So, after collecting all the loot that he needs, the runner uses obsidian to easily build a nether portal. And if I have to give the runner some credit, his spawn back into the overworld actually looks fairly normal. As he spawns in with the exact same angle as he was facing in the nether, he's still in survival mode without any weird items in his inventory, and he hasn't gotten any strange potion effects in the top right corner. However, just a couple of seconds after the runner spawns in, they stumble across this strange looking book on the ground. And when the runner picks it up and opens it, all that's inside is 3 different numbers, which clearly represent the coordinates of some specific location. Well, with the runner being curious, he decides to travel towards those exact coordinates. And just a little while later, oh my gosh, this is one of the craziest looking towers I've literally ever seen. And there is 0 chance this is a real vanilla structure. Well, not only is this tower insanely scary looking, but it's actually about to help the speedrunner cheat once again. Because if you look closely, notice how the bottom of each side of the tower appear to make the shape of an arrow. And after the runner notices this too, he immediately starts digging down in the exact direction of the arrow, where he lands directly into the strongholds. I don't even know what to say anymore. So, the runner enters the strongholds, and thank gosh, because things appear to be back to normal. As the runner gets the achievement for entering into it, the 2 chests that they loot contain completely standard items, and they locate the end portal room without an ounce of suspicious activity. But that's the last real thing that occurs in the speedrun, because when the runner goes to check on the portal, you gotta be kidding me. The end portal spawns with 11 eyes already in place, which if you weren't aware, has less than a 1 in 9 billion chance of happening. I don't think anyone is believing this. So, with 11 eyes in the portal, the runner literally crafts one single eye of ender and quickly lights the portal. But instead of spawning on an obsidian platform like in a real speedrun, he instead spawns in the direct middle of the end, which is very strange. Well, after the runner spawns in, before he starts to break the crystals or fight the dragon, the runner strangely decides to place down a crafting table. Now, do you remember near the very start of the speedrun when the runner found this block of glowstone and this chain in the shipwreck? Well, he uses those very two items as the final items in crafting the Evoker's Wrath. And let me tell you, this is one of the scariest weapons I've ever seen in Minecraft. Because when the runner goes to attack an Enderman, he literally summons a line of stone out of the ground that goes straight towards the Enderman. So, with one of the world's most overpowered and dangerous weapons, the runner makes pretty quick work of the Ender Dragon. Click on screen for more hilariously fake Minecraft speedruns.